everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies, and today we're going to be reviewing Terrifier 2, what might possibly be the goriest movie that I've ever seen. Right now I'm going to have some information up on screen for you to read, like director, runtime, and PAA rating. All of that will be up on screen for you to read right now. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on Terrifier 2. But without further ado, let's get right into the pros. Alright, starting off, one of my biggest cons of that first Terrifier movie was that there was no real story whatsoever. It's basically just Art the Clown going around brutally murdering people. With Terrifier 2, they fixed that issue and give us a story this time around, following Sienna and her younger brother being attacked by Art the Clown on Halloween night. I thought they handled that story pretty well in this movie. It was an enjoyable movie to watch. But even if the story in this movie ended up being bad or terrible, I would have been happy that they at least gave us a plot and story for us to follow, unlike with the first one. I also gotta once again praise Damien Leone for this movie because he once again does a great job directing this movie. This movie had an increase of the budget. Instead of being a $35,000 movie, it is now a $250,000 movie, $250,000. And he definitely makes use of that increase of the budget and delivers some awesome practical effects. I genuinely do think that we are in an era where practical effects are getting a resurgence. And Damien Leone, who is the head of the special effects department for this Terrifier movies, once again does a great job with the effects in this movie. And that perfectly segues into talking about the kills in this movie because, oh my, these have gotta be some of the most gruesome kills that I've ever seen in a horror movie. More gruesome than what I've seen in the Saw franchise. There are a bunch of extremely gruesome kills in this movie that it apparently caused people to throw up in movie theaters when this movie came out. And yeah, I definitely agree. This has gotta be the most gruesome movie that I've ever seen. All the hype for this movie was surrounding the bedroom scene of the movie. And yeah, it definitely lives up to the hype. It is extremely gruesome and drawn out that, by the way, I don't even know how the victim of that scene, Allie, even is still alive for 15 seconds longer after the torture she's been through. But that entire scene is kind of the big showcase scene and rivals the hacksaw scene from the original movie. But all of that gore is really thanks to the practical effects of this movie because CGI, it kind of could have been a lot less impactful if it was the practical effects. And yeah, this is definitely the most gruesome movie that I've seen, at least until Terrifier 3 from what I've heard from the reviews. And this time around, they also gave us a bunch of characters that you can enjoy in this movie. The biggest characters that you can get an enjoyment out of is Jonathan, the younger brother in this movie. I thought Elliot Fulham did a great job as this younger brother who's basically has this obsession with Art the Clown and his Halloween massacre from the year previously. And it does reflect on people who have this obsession with certain serial killers to where we research them. But honestly, the best character in this movie has to be Sienna Shaw, played by Lauren Rivera. And I'm not joking when I say this, she is honestly the best final girl that we've gotten since Sidney Prescott with the Scream franchise. Lauren Rivera plays the character of Sienna so well. She's just this older sister trying to have some fun on Halloween when she's encountered by Art the Clown. And the stuff that she goes through in this movie really proves that she is a worthy final girl to be compared to Sidney Prescott. And also I thought Lauren Rivera, the actress in this movie, did such a great job as the character that it gets me excited to see her return in Terrifier 3, and I'm hoping that she does not end up dying in that third Terrifier movie. Like, honestly, besides a certain actor in this movie, Lauren Rivera is like the best, newest cast member that we've gotten in this Terrifier sequel. I also gotta go ahead and praise the expansion of the Terrifier lore. Like, they add in some very interesting details regarding Art the Clown. Like, we get a whole Clown Cafe dream sequence in that movie. And yeah, that scene was very entertaining. It also raised some questions of like, how did this even happen? Because it seems like that at this point in the franchise, Art has become more of a supernatural killer rather than just a regular guy wearing a clown costume killing people. And he also got the inclusion of the little pale girl in this movie played by Amelie McLean. She was an interesting character in the movie, and I wanted to learn more about the backstory of this little pale girl and how she connects to Art the Clown. But we don't really get a full backstory on this little pale girl. We don't even get a full explanation on how she's connected to Art the Clown. And I'm also curious towards how Sienna is connected to Art the Clown in the first place, considering that her late father's journal has sketches and drawings from the events of the previous Terrifier movie. And don't even get me started with that 4-minute long post-credit scene where Art somehow is reborn as just a head through Victoria Hayes. That is something that I am eagerly wanting to know that answer to for Terrifier 3, since we will get that explanation in that third movie. But really, overall, I really dug the inclusion of lore expansion to this franchise and raising some questions that I hope are answered in this third Terrifier movie. But my biggest pro of this movie is once again David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. He delivers yet another great performance as the character. Like, this was the film that really got me a fan of the Art the Clown character, because I saw this movie before I saw the first Terrifier movie. And David Howard Thornton here does yet another creepy but hilarious performance as the character. Like, that costume shop scene in the movie was so funny thanks to David Howard Thornton's acting in there with putting on the glasses and messing around with Sienna. Creepy, but also very funny at the same time. But you also get your horrifying Art the Clown moments in this movie when he's going around completely brutalizing his victims, like what we saw in the opening scene. Like, this is a slasher that I genuinely think does belong on this Friends horror mantle. So I think the character of Art the Clown is worthy enough to be a brand new horror icon to join that roster. And that really all can be thanks towards David Howard Thornton's acting in this movie. Because really, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think David Howard Thornton is like the real main star of these Terrifier movies. I know Lauren Rivera is a great new addition to this franchise, but to me, the big main star of this movie will always be David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. So yeah, I came out very much enjoying this second Terrifier movie. I think it's miles better than that first movie, even though I don't think that first one was bad. It was just a major improvement that definitely got me hyped to see where the franchise goes next. But there's still one issue I have with this movie, leading me to my con. And really the only con I have with this movie is the runtime, because it is 2 hours and 18 minutes. And it did not have to be that long at all. Like, there are some sequences in here that I very much enjoy, really like, but I couldn't help but feel the runtime of this movie because it just has that very long runtime, especially towards the third act of this movie. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. And while I did enjoy that final act, I did feel like that it went on for way too long. And yeah, I did mention we did get a post-credit scene in this movie, and it is 4 minutes long. I am not kidding. Like, I feel like that Terrifier 2 should not have been that long at all, which is why I'm much better with Terrifier 3's runtime of 2 hours and 5 minutes. But that runtime is just holding it back from being a perfect horror movie. But even with that said, I very much enjoyed this movie. I consider it to be one of like the best horror movies that we've gotten out of the entire lineup of thousands of horror movies we've gotten. And really, I cannot wait to see where they go with the franchise next with the third movie and really the future of the Terrifier franchise in general, because Art the Clown has truly become a modern horror icon. So for my scorecard, I'm gonna give Terrifier 2 4.5 stars, with the score out of 10 being 9.5 out of 10, with the percentage being 95%, with a grade of A, with my final verdict being a much better improvement than the first. But that was my review for Terrifier 2. Be sure to stay tuned on my channel tomorrow because I will be posting my review for Terrifier 3, and I cannot wait to check out that bloody Christmas movie. But until then, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my Terrifier 3 review, and have a great day.